Welcome to the Special News Podcast. This is episode 123. My name is Mike Williams. These guys are Jake Lukowski and Liam McKelvey.
Hey, guys.
Sequential podcast title 1, 2, 3. That's a rare treat. That's a rare treat, that is.
I feel like we've got a good one this week. I don't know why. I feel like we've done a lot.
Yeah, we have. We've played a new game. You remember that game, Returnal, everybody listening, which we said...
We moaned about basically for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, probably 20 minutes talking about how expensive it was. Well, we all bought it. So we've all been playing and I believe enjoying Returnal. Mm-hmm. But I don't know really. We haven't really discussed it properly. So we're going to talk about Returnal. Just don't hold it against us. Don't hold it over us. You know what I mean? Like
let's move on. We're human beings, right?
Yeah. I feel like we have done this a lot. Like we've said, we're not going to.
We were doing it for you. We were doing it for you.
Yeah, we were doing it for the fans, for the millions.
Exactly.
So we played that. We also played Scavengers, which is a recommendation from friend of the channel, Simply Phil. I'd seen this game kind of popping up, and I read a little bit about it. And then on the strength of a few words from Simply Phil, friend of the podcast, we thought
Wise and Council. Yeah,
it was good.
And we played it together. Like, it was 2 days ago, wasn't it? Because we had like a long weekend here in the UK, bank holiday. So we jumped on. I thought from all the advertising and stuff, it was like a bit of a Rust dinosaur-y thing. I felt like that was a different game than the game we played. But it was a bit of fun, that wasn't it? And and then I guess we're just in the Resident Evil waiting room. Yeah,
plenty to talk about with Resident Evil as well. So the reviews and stuff have gone live for Resident Evil Village. None of us have played it. So we don't know how good it is yet. But we've just been reading the reviews like everybody else. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. And we've got plenty of really good emails as well. Thanks everyone who keeps sending them in. There was actually a load this week, so thanks a lot. If you got any more, send them in to dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. And remember, if you're a Patreon supporter, we are doing a weekly bonus podcast from now on. We're doing kind of 30 minutes on top of what we're recording as a regular podcast, just going off topic, like off gaming stuff, talking about movies and whatever else out there. So if you're a patron, you can check that out on our Patreon page as well. Should we what do you want to start with?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess why don't we get Scavengers out of the way first of all? Because I guess Returnal is like the... Well, then again, more people have probably had an opportunity to play Scavengers. Because let's talk about that straight away in it. But I've got to say, if you don't know what Scavengers is, it's because it is a fairly new game.
Yeah,
we're very on the fingers on the pulse channel here, right? We've left the Total War behind for now, and I got to tell you, this game's only 4 days old or something like that, right?
Yeah, we're finger on the pulse channel, but I don't. No disrespect to Simply Phil, but I'm sure I don't know how old he is, but we're working off a recommendation.
28, I think.
Of a man, a gentleman who is older than ourselves, at least. So. Yeah, that's how fingers on the pulse we are.
It was like, so that's a game it's a free game, free to play, and I was just checking to see where it was because I got a bit confused because I know that it was on Steam because that's where we played it, but it's also available on Epic Game Store if that is your sort of thing, which, with crossplay available.
Liam, can you explain what this is to people? Because
Scavengers is a not quite not at all. I don't know why I was thinking MMO. It's not an MMO at all.
Not quite a racing game.
It's a multiplayer game that is a mix of PvE and PvP. So you get dropped into this snowy map, and you've got survival mechanics in there as well. You've got to eat to keep your stamina up. You got to keep warm to stop your health dropping because it's set in the far future where Earth is frozen over and you're playing the last remnants of humanity.
Naturally.
You go down and collect data, the world's most valuable resource, I think Jake said.
Yeah.
And so,
second to Bitcoin.
Yeah. So the first sort of phase of the game, it's a third-person shooter. It drops you in with, no equipment, no weapons. You go around, you loot some weapons, some scrap, some items, like med kits and stuff, very Battle Royale-ish. and then you sort of get directed towards an objective, which is sort of like a PvE encounter where you're fighting like NPCs, which I think we came across as zombies or like Mad Max looking raiders.
Yeah, and the big, like, I don't know how else to describe them other than space cows. They're just big,
space cows,
round things that are quite aggressive.
And then you generally do an objective. It's like, wipe out this checkpoint and then defend a point to get, harvest your data. But during
it's so TikTok, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
But during all of this, at any point, other players in a squad of 3 can come and attack you and try and basically steal all your hard work.
Yeah.
And there's a sort of leaderboard going on where teams are ranked based on how much data they have. It's just points. It's nothing special. Yeah. And then, and so there's like a time limit where all the teams have got to go around running about, killing each other, getting as much data as they can. Eventually, it gets to a point where a dropship comes in. And this is where it starts to be a bit like the Division's Dark Zone, if you ever played that, where that was sort of, you go in, it has a bit of permadeath sort of thing in it. There's no permadeath in Scavengers, but the whole point of the Dark Zone in the Division was you get what you can and then you try and extract it while being open to targeting by all other sorts of players and enemies in the zone and whatever. It's the same as Scavengers. So you get to a dropship, you have to defend that dropship from other players, or you have to try and invade for dropship yourself. After a timer goes, you get extracted, and whatever loot you get to keep it as like resources, which you can then use to craft new weapons, upgrades, like more stamina,
video
more
game
shields,
progression stuff.
Better
So
health.
there's a couple of things there I think that I want to mention that, like, in case you don't, like, you might be, if you're playing to type, you might not know that, first of all, like, whenever there's a survival game like this, people think it's like a server-based thing, but this is like definitely round-based, isn't it? And the other thing is, Liam said there's no permadeath. There's not. Like, if you die, you can come back until the end, where there's only one team that can escape. Yeah. So it still has that feature.
Also, a really important point I wanted to point out as well, that the dropship is actually just kind of a big triangle. Just kind of comes down
I mean, that's
like
important.
a pyramid, isn't it? It's like a pyramid, and then that's it. So
who's really in charge?
Oh, there's a hero system in it as well.
That's the
every game has to have a hero system now, ever since Overwatch.
And you can't like duplicate, obviously. So Overwatch is funny because I go for Apex Legends, where it clearly is an Overwatch thing. But for me, it's
I think Apex as well. I've never played Overwatch though. Really,
you've got you got a couple of classes that you unlock for straight away, and then you buy the others with your little currency. You get the currency from doing in-game stuff, or you can buy it, of course. But it looks like when it's in the early access, you get like 200 of these like currency things just for logging in every day.
Yeah,
and then you play for an hour a day, and you can probably get about 400 a day. And each character's only about 1,500. So you can probably unlock them all pretty quick. But it's the classes feel pretty cool. We all played the same class every time when we played. I played like a sniper, and I felt like, this is what I mean. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I felt like my guy was fucking overpowered. Like, basically, with your data, it acts as a currency, right? To try it, sorry, I'm just going to go off topic a second, but the hero thing, I just want to mention this because it's a weird thing. When I was first hearing about this, I thought, what's the point in doing any of the PvE shit when I could just camp the dropship and bat the fuck out of the people leaving? But it's because with the data that you harvest, which is also your currency, you buy upgrades for yourself. So, you start off with no shields, then white shields, green shields, purple shields. So the players...
They're important, aren't they? They are like... Because we got totally trashed by a couple of by some players who had like... purple armor, and their weapons were really good and stuff. So
it is important. There's a level up system as well that resets every round, and that's how you track your upgrades. So when you kill enemies, you get experience, which you level up with, and then your level up gives you an opportunity to upgrade something, which also costs you currency. So in this game, you've got like a hero system, but your hero specific trait, a weapon specifically, you've got like a signature weapon. So I played as the sniper, so my signature weapon was a sniper.
like you had to level up to level 2 at least, and then spend like 400 data to unlock it, and then that gives you that as a weapon. But it's like that's what I'm rushing for. I'm going straight for there, and I get it. So it gives you like it incentivizes the PvE rather than like Hunt Showdown, where you can win the game by doing nothing other than just like, you know, camping out and you know, being a bit of a cheeky boy and popping everyone off at the end. And so I like that. I think they've got like. It sounds like a bit of a trying to explain a battle royale in a dream at the moment. I'm just trying to throw all this together, but it is a bit messy, isn't it? Like it's a lot of ideas definitely put together. It is a bit of a mutant, like.
But it's super light, though. I think, you know, that for the most part, it felt quite relaxing to play. It didn't feel hugely stressful, apart from a couple of times where we got caught in a storm, and then it's got that battle royale, you know, closing fog of death, and as the map pushes you inwards. So, you know, we got caught in that a couple of times, and because we weren't really paying attention. And so that was pretty intense, I suppose.
Yeah, you know, on top of your closing storm, the circle, I guess you can call it. There's also these periodic, like, I guess in other battle royales you'd call them like hot zones. Yeah. But yeah, you get that's another storm, but that's like a storm that makes your character freeze.
But it was really interesting how that. Do you remember when there was one bit where we were like in a PvE environment thing, and there was a team that seemed like they had really good gear and stuff, and they had, like, you know, we were shooting them and they had purple shields and all this kind of stuff, and we weren't that kitted up yet. But so then this storm came in, and it just completely changed the dynamic of because you can't see anything. Like your vision, your distance is completely just vanishes, really. So it really influences the gameplay without just being like, oh, it's a you know, because in some battle royale games it's like, you know, a bombardment, so you have to get out of there or something, or you know, you're going to take a lot of damage. It just kind of comes in and changes the environment for you know, like half a minute or something, but it's enough to have a dramatic effect on what happens.
Because you know what, like if one of the teams is inside and another team's outside, the team outside gets like essentially like frostbitten, and then their health starts leeching down, like and then to, you know, get rid of that, which will constantly go all the way down, like how most poison systems work in a video game, I guess. To get that to stop ticking, you need to go to find some fire or some heat source, so that, you know, like that team that could have like trounced us might have had to bow out to go and huddle around the fire. You know,
and I think as well as, like, you know, we shot at them a little bit, and they perhaps just didn't get a chance to know that we were just, you know, this is literally our first game or something. They could have probably taken us easily, but because the storm was there, they couldn't see us.
We won our first game, didn't we? Huh?
That was weird. Yeah, but it's good. It's pretty fun. It's nice and chilled out. I think there are some, like, some of the survival-y mechanics I'm still not hugely convinced on, because I didn't even you have to eat to, as you guys have already said, you have to eat to keep your, like, stamina meter up, but I didn't even realize that was the thing until a few games in, really, and my character was acting a bit drunk because they couldn't run anymore. But then it just felt like that there are certain elements like that where they're only there because the game is called Scavengers.
Kind of funny how at the end of every single game a little questionnaire pops up, and there's only two questions. One is, how fun was this game? And then the other one was, how clear is it that you had to do what you had to do?
It's not really a questionnaire. It's more like if you've ever been to a game show and the person who's holding the booth is like coming up to you and say, like, did you like that? Did you enjoy that? How did you think? What did you think of that game? Was that any good? Did you have fun, guys? Was that fun for you guys? That's
please, guys. My job depends on this.
Have a t-shirt.
Guys. Yeah. So it's interesting that it's got such, like, bad reviews. I don't know if I want to call it review bombing, because I don't really know the situation, but before the podcast, I had a quick look at, you know, why are the reviews, like, really mixed for this? Because it's a 10 gig game that is completely free, and it was quite fun. So, like, there's no real need, you know, if you're paying for it, you got all the reason in the world to moan, but there's no real reason. So anyway, it looks like when they were doing, like, the private closed beta or whatever, there seem to be features that they've stripped from this open to everybody thing, which I guess might be put back in later on, but this is just because the game, like, we're explaining it now and it does sound like quite a lot, but when you play it, it is a little bit more straightforward. You know, it feels better than it sounds, if you get me. So Well, yeah, it seems to be a lot of the reviews. So I just wanted to say that in case people have been looking at the reviews, look at the context of why it's been review bombed. And it's like, it seems to be a lot of scorn people talking about that, because otherwise, like, I don't really see why it'd have such bad reviews. It's more than a 5 out of 10 or whatever the hell it's getting. Definitely.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's decent. It's decent. I definitely recommend it, especially if you're into that. Like, we're not really all into this type of game.
No.
But if you're into it, you know, like, if you want a new game like that, it could be good. Like,
I'm sure we'll go back and have another look at it, and probably, because it's so easy, like you said, it's 10 gig, and, you know, I'm sure after a few updates there'll be something interesting that's changed. And,
it'll come to console and look nicer, you know, eventually. So
yeah. So yeah, we'll have a look at that. But that's Scavengers. So probably worth having a look if you're interested.
If anything, it just made me want to play Lost Planet again, like I said to you guys. But it doesn't take a lot to make me want to play Lost Planet again.
Yeah,
to be honest,
that's a testament to Lost Planet being great.
Games. Great games. Okay, so before we go into the next game, I think we should introduce the next game with an email. Okay, so if you want to send us an email, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, the address is dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. That's dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. Send us your mail about anything we've said in the podcast. If you've been playing Scavengers and you agree with us or disagree with us, or you had a completely different time, let us know in an email. That'd be really good. This one is from Chester in Sheffield, who says, Dear Special Moves, I've recently been seeing much of the positive new press on Returnal, and I wanted to touch on something that you guys were discussing in the last episode. I was one of the few lucky ones to get a PlayStation 5 at launch, and so far I have avoided purchasing games at £70. Now, the exception was Miles Morales, the special edition. However, that was because I hadn't properly played the original Spider-Man on PS4, and it was a 2-game package. Yeah. So I'd either, that is one instance where I think it probably is 70 quid. You're basically getting 2 games. One's a remaster and whatever. However, I also want to communicate to Sony that I like new ideas. But that becomes a problem when the new idea is £70 and Resident Evil Village is £50. I know that I will like Resident Evil Village, but I don't know that I'll like Returnal. And despite my against my better judgment, I know that my £70 rule will be broken with Ratchet and Clank, as those games are special to me. Is Ratchet and Clank going to be 70 quid?
Of course it is.
Oh yeah,
they could charge 75 if you would buy it.
The remake, the Ratchet and Clank remake was like 30 quid. It was so cheap.
Have you seen the fucking graphics, mate?
Yeah, but this is a brand new original installment.
Ratchet and Clank remake is so fucking good. It was basically new.
It was a movie tie-in as well. That one.
That's true. But that was 30 quid. It wasn't just like a regular. They had brought the price down. That was one of the best looking games on PS4. Comfortably one of the best.
Yeah. Well, if it's not going to be, if Ratchet and Clank's not going to be the 70 quid stopper, then it'll have to be the next one. But I think they're going to go in with a 70. But anyway, go on. I digress.
Yeah, no. That's a pain in the deal sense, isn't it? So what am I really communicating? I'm not willing to spend £70 unless it's something I'm a sucker for, is the answer. If I'm honest with myself, perhaps people are more principled than myself, but I can't help but feel that this is the reality for many people. Just make it cheaper on launch so I feel less bad about my impulsive purchases. You bastards. Chester, wasn't it? Chester from Sheffield, wasn't it?
Nice one, Chester. Well, it's true. It's true. This is the thing, isn't it? When you're talking about the thing with Returnal is people were talking about it was brave, it was bold, it was different. Sony are daring to be different. They're exclusive. It's something weird, and they're putting their money and their trust in a company that only makes like 2D arcade games. And this time they're going full fat, full weird, and it's all weird, guys. And did I mention it was weird? And it's something different. And like all the reviews were talking about it using all these stupid words, and it like you go, what is it? But it's £70. Like Mass Effect is the same price, but you know what you're getting.
No, Mass Effect is 60.
Oh yeah, sorry, my mistake. It's only 60. Yeah, which was a previous 60 bastard pounds, but now we've had to up that in Special Moves Limited. So yeah, we it's a lot to gamble. £70, a lot of money, isn't it? It's a lot of Just Eat. So
like we were saying earlier, in the last podcast, the debate for us about Returnal, well, it wasn't even a debate. We were probably just saying we're not going to play it because it's too expensive, or we're probably going to avoid it because we'll have a look at the reviews and stuff. But 70 quid is too much for a game, too much of a risk. There's a lot of other games coming out. But ultimately, we all went
for you, for the fans. Again.
Yeah,
I say for the
public
fans.
service.
Yeah.
But I think that the idea of Ratchet and Clank being 70 quid is I mean, it's painful. I think it's painful.
It's painful, but like depends, doesn't it? Because like at least that's an IP that people fucking know and are invested in, and like you can go on a new journey with old friends for that money, innit? Miles Morales is what Chester went in on. Because he kind of knows who Spider-Man is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
I think if Demon Souls didn't exist and was 70 quid, and it's basically like the 70 quid game, that was the example of a 70 quid game.
Even I wasn't happy paying 70 quid for Demon Souls.
It's not. It doesn't feel right, does it?
No, it's a fantastic game, but it's not 70 quid fantastic. I feel especially bad for Housemarque, the developers of Returnal. Because it just felt everything feels stacked against them. Where they're coming out with this it's an ultra hard, very niche game. Really, it's brutal in its difficulty. It's a genre that hasn't really got much mainstream attention. A really weird sci-fi story that is very out there and cosmic horror-y. And then Sony are yep, 70 quid. But it's people aren't 70 quid is a lot to ask, and people aren't going to be very adventurous with it. But I feel especially bad for them, because not long before they announced Returnal, they put out a blog post saying they were stepping away from making their trademark little arcade style indie games because people weren't buying them, and they were only being sold for 20 quid a pop.
Yeah,
and they had to stop making what they were passionate about because the sales weren't there. So
I think Returnal is sort of. I think Housemarque I don't want to get into this. Isn't a fucking Jason Schreier cast, but they're probably safe. They've got Sony have just pumped money into making this happen, so they're probably safe in terms financially. And so Sony are making the risk because they need this is an early adopter thing, isn't it? If you think about it, that's probably why all three of us really went for it, because we haven't got a huge amount of PS5 games, and this isn't a PS4 game that's ported to this is a proper PS5 game.
I think it's only the second true PS5 exclusive after Demon Souls.
Yeah, if you're talking, exactly. If you're talking and AAA and whatever, so that's why it makes kind of business sense for Sony and therefore Housemarque, is they're just Sony has said, listen, we want what you're doing, but we want it on a big fucking scale. Use the DualSense controller and give us use the PS5 as much as you can, and a showcase for the new system. And it is it really almost to the point where, especially in the opening cutscene, I was kind of so the DualSense is insanely good. The vibration, the feedback in your hands is amazing. But it almost, especially when you're not playing it, you're just sitting there watching a cutscene and the controller is still going crazy. It sort of felt a little bit like 4DX Cinema or something, where the fucking the dropship, the spaceship's and you're feeling every single detail of it in your hand.
Yeah,
it's a bit
even the bits where
I'm all right. Just
there's parts of the game where it goes first person and you can hear the rain bouncing off a astronaut helmet, but the DualSense is make little pitter patters just in your hand.
And the musical stings and stuff are kind of coming through. They're starting in the television and ending on the controller. Stuff like that. It's nice as an Astrobot. Look at what you can do, kind of thing. Now it's getting to. All I'm saying is now it's getting to the should you do it.
They've always done that sort of thing, Housemarque. Because I remember Resogun, whenever you picked up a power up, it came through the controller being laser beam, rocket launcher, but all through the controller.
Yeah,
and now it's sadness, rain.
Yeah,
but I got me screen up full of some of the little clickable clickbaity bits that people have got to say about Returnal, bullshit from fucking Tech Radar, Returnal's biggest problem wouldn't exist if it was on Xbox Series X. Shut the fuck up. And stuff Returnal is the first true PlayStation showcase. Have they not played Demon Souls, man? I've just got Demon Souls 99 positive reviews on Metacritic, not a single bad one. So now, can we talk about Returnal then a little bit, and maybe we can help educate the children, the adults, everyone involved who might want to buy it and save them or help them spend 70 quid, because we've all played it. Again, for you, the listener. So
I've played it
let's try not
this very day.
Let's try not to spoil anything, mainly for my benefit, because I'm only a couple of worlds in. And I do like it. I do like it a lot. I'm seeing a lot of old 70s fucking sci-fi ideas popping up, but that's good.
I like how it's covered. The three of us are covered in psychological horror, sci-fi, and roguelike. You know, we're all covered off, I guess. So,
This and to the point as well, where the things that I'm super into the sci-fi and the best sci-fi horror. And that's what this is, and I love anything where it's kind of space to me is the scariest thing there is, because it's just the void, the idea of just how endless void. That's some of the scariest kind of shit that you can think of, and I like anything that plays with ideas. So I think that they've nailed the premise and the setup, and atmospherically I think it's really, really good, and the music is. It's got that that kind of God of War kind of idea of music, where it's just basically it's three notes in God of War, but it's basically like two notes in this, repeated, at key moments in different and it's perfect. It's all you need, So I think the atmosphere is why I'm here, and the setup and the story and the promise of what the story could be is why I'm here. Not so much the jumping over floating blue Spaceballs and stuff.
Wow. That's why I'm here. It was the word. Well, there was two things that really, really pulled me in, and one was the music and sound effects was by Hax and Cloak. He is literally like one of my probably one of my top 10 albums of all time is his debut album, and then he did Midsummer as well, which it was good, but
it was good.
It was. He's like a real synth god, you know what I mean? Like he knows how to.
You can fucking tell, to be fair.
Yeah,
it's so simple. It's the same way as Bear McCreary did in God of War. It's just simplicity.
Yeah,
done really, really well.
Like he is. So I was like with Midsummer, it's kind of odd because he's doing like a really traditional sounding thing, but he's got all the synthesis is like stuff that you're feeling, not you're hearing. So I wanted to see what's he going to do with sci-fi, because when I'm interested in stuff like that. Like it's like the Annihilation soundtrack and stuff like that. A bit weird, a bit more interesting. So
good.
So I was like, and then the thing that really got me in is the word roguelike, right? It's all my favorite things. Binding of Isaac is the ultimate. So I've got to tell you though, I want to say this right off the bat. Yeah, I need to say it. It's not a great roguelike. It's not, to be honest, right? And I'll tell you what I mean by that is like. I am enjoying it. I want to say that as well, but I'm not enjoying it because I want to get in and do a loop again. I want to get in to get further than I got. Yeah. So with stuff like Hades, which is a similar thing, where there's worlds, the bosses are always the same, or whatever. Your main story beats that kind of repeat, but then other things are different. I don't really care on Hades how far I get, as long as when I'm in every room, I've got a new crazy power up and da-da-da. But it feels that's like, and Binding of Isaac, it to me is the best example of it. But Children of Morta, again, it's the same thing. You get these little bits that make your run incredible, and it's all about the most important thing in a roguelike is about what's the word I'm looking for? Like the harmonization of two individual components that you get when you're playing the game. So like, in Binding of Isaac, you might have something that like increases your tiers by 100, like tenfold, but your damage goes down. So your projectiles are 10 times quicker, but you're weaker. But then you get that, and that works well, and that works with something that makes your damage go up by 5 times. So all of a sudden, you've got a Gatling gun, and it's unique because the chances of getting the items are like 1 in 2,000, and you get these runs that are like so interesting. You're showing your wife in the middle of the night, Sean, look at that, and she doesn't give a fuck, but you don't care because you're so excited. But with this, it's not fun to pick up stuff, right? Every time I jump into something in Returnal, it's like, right, this one makes it makes my melee attack 5% stronger. This one, all right, okay,
okay. And, well, Liam, you played it a lot, so I suppose it's really difficult for you to talk about this without spoiling it. But it's with that. How much do you agree with Jake about that, or does it kind of improve as it goes on? Without talking about specifics.
It mainly improves in. I'd say the biggest differentiation between runs is the weapons, and they are pretty much what affects your build in Returnal. And the further you get into the game, you do unlock more and more weapons. Some of the later ones are like great. They're like they have such specific use cases, but if you've got it in that use case, it'll wreck everything. And especially when you start unlocking all the weapon mods for them, which give them unique effects, that's when your build variety really starts coming into play. I do agree with Jake totally though about how the upgrades are pretty boring. It is just pick up this item, you'll get more a health increase, but your defense goes down by 10%, which sort of kind of negates itself anyway. If your health's going up but your defense is going down, sort of cancels it out anyway.
There's like a weird thing going on with it. It's probably the best metaphor I can think of, but it kind of applies to a lot of it. Like the first time you pick up the parasite, and the whole moment of okay, fucking hell, okay, right, what is it? What's this going to do? This is really good. I love this. I love that they have parasites clamping onto your arm, and it's part of. But it literally is you move faster, but your damage isn't as good as it's so okay.
Very few of the parasites actually seem like they're worth it as well most of the time. Sort of.
I thought I was hoping it would have some more world altering effect or something. The way that you're does it change your perception of the? No, it's just stats.
That's one of my issues with Returnal. Is part of the fun of roguelikes is if you take big risks, it can sometimes give you a big reward, or it could backfire on you completely and ruin your day. Whereas in Returnal, it just feels like it's every time you do something like pick up a parasite, it feels more like a minor inconvenience to you rather than being potentially
a gamble.
Yeah, sometime, and a lot of the time when you do take these big gambles, either the risk is so little it might as well not even be a risk, or it goes so far in the same direction where it's such a horrible risk that the reward just isn't even worth entertaining the thought of taking it.
No, you're dead right. And I found that so a lot of these things are connected to to keep things nice for my in the first area, the big example of that is there's certain chests that have got some sort of
malignant.
Malignants on them, and it purple space goop, and it's you have to cleanse it with your ether, which is your permanent currency or whatever, right? But again, that's another thing, right? I was okay, so there's no really run changing things, but you've got a permanent currency in again Hades or whatever, or you got something like Dead Cells. Can I maybe do some permanent passive upgrades? So maybe if I play for 4 hours, will I eventually unlock it so I have 50% damage at the beginning of every run? Also, I forgot to mention the game Rogue. But that's the thing that's really important when you're playing those games, that you have this continuation. So you've got a bit of a head start because going through that same area over and over again in this gameplay loop time is frustrating, and that's the other bit about the roguelike element I don't like. Again, take Binding of Isaac. Your maximum run, if you're playing it at a decent speed, you've got all the unlocks, I don't know, 20 minutes. But this, you're talking hours. I didn't. I'm not mentioning any areas or anything like that. But what I'll say is I got to the second area boss, and that was a 90-minute run. And there's how many worlds? 5 or something. So I was
6, I think.
That's it. 6.
Did you go back after that?
After I died?
Yeah.
Did I fuck? I haven't touched it since.
Yeah, okay. It's not as bad as you.
Yeah. So it does get to a point where and to the game's, well, not its credit actually, the opposite of whatever credit is, I can't think of it at the minute. Detriment. Whatever. The game, it can be too cryptic at times, and because when I got to the exact same part you were at, Jake, the second boss, I kept having to go through that one big temple area But
Yeah.
what I didn't realise, for about another 4 hours, was there's actually a teleporter that unlocks right at the entrance to that temple, which takes you straight to the boss arena.
Yeah.
And the
Right,
game never indicated to me that was a thing. I just thought it was like a bit of scene decoration. But
also if you've got so tell me now then, Jake, you went through the first area, you hit the boss, beat the boss, carried on through the second area, hit that boss and then died, and you haven't gone back.
No, and the reason for that is solely because, like, say Dark Souls, when you die, you don't gain anything, but if you get back there, you can pick up your souls, plus the souls that you've gained from killing enemies on the journey back. I feel like that's still progress. And if I die again, it's a bit of self-flagellation. On games like Rogue or Children of Mortar or other roguelikes, you have this permanent currency system that has, I died, but you know what?
Well,
I got
so
you know,
the permanent thing you get is a key.
Yeah.
So you've got a permanent key so it's the route back isn't.
Yeah, like you don't have to fight the first boss again. You can skip him entirely if you want.
That's basically what I'm trying to say. But that's saying it.
Okay.
But,
right.
You can, and then you can. So as long as you find the gate in the first area, you go through that, and you're back.
Oh,
you know
no. I know that. Yeah, the Crimson Key.
Yeah. I think.
But all you've got to do now, you've still got the key. So all you got to do now is find the gate.
Is this what you mean, Jake? Where, like, you know, in stuff like Hades, you get the dark crystals, whatever they're called, don't you? Yeah. That persist between runs, and you can use them to, like, upgrade your health, damage, and all that. I know what you mean. There's none of that in Returnal. Like, apart from in Returnal, is like Sekiro, where the upgrades happen at like set points almost, and you won't get your upgrade until you like beat this specific boss. There's like,
but yeah, you're right. But again, with Sekiro, you will not your weapon skills, which I guess is like you will not the weapon things with the guns and this. But my issue is with this is like what Mike says. I can skip through, but let me say this: when you kill enemies in each run, you get like an experience system which levels up what they call your weapon proficiency. Of course, I'm talking to the people at home. I know that you guys know this, right? But the point is, you level up your weapon proficiency. So let's say your weapon proficiency is 3. All the items on the floor you're going to get are level 3. So if I rush to the boss, I've got, like, when I fought the boss the first time, I'd leveled up my max health twice by 25%, so I had 50% extra health. I found 6 things on the floor that increased my health by a bit, so I was a juggernaut in health compared to my regular, reset status.
Juggernaut in health.
I was a tank. And I had a level 6, like, it was like a sniper rifle kind of weapon. Proficiency level 6. So I'm not planning on rushing back to the boss to fight with me sidearm.
What it does with that is your health does reset every time. So all that health collection you did, that's going to go. Yeah. That resets every time. When you get to the second area, because you've already unlocked it, at the entrance to that second area, there is an item you can pick up that, I think, in the second world at least, it automatically raises your weapon proficiency to 5 when you pick it up. Yeah. So you don't have to go into the next area with your beginning sidearm that does that jack shit against enemies.
Well, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, so what I mean is the more time I spent on the run, that obviously the more worth it was. Like, because I told you, I got my health up like loads, and that's a pretty penny. Because you, by the way, you will not that for people listening with currency that you get from killing the enemies in each room.
Called ooblets.
Called Ulasil, which is the world from Dark Souls. So you go through the world picking up this currency, and you're going into the side rooms and you're checking shit out. But it's like, so as a roguelike, I actually don't rate it whatsoever. Like, whatsoever. It's one of the worst ones I've played in terms of like the gameplay as a roguelike. But it's got some cool stuff in it that like others don't have, like persistent story. I mean, Hades did have that in Children of Mortar, but it's got this cool story. It's kind of intriguing. It's a little bit Dear Esther so far, so I hope it's not that. But I like it, and I love the setting. I think it's really cool. And I didn't plan to do this, but I went to bed and I had a dream that I was in some spacey environment. So it was obviously in the back of my brain.
There's a part of it. It's not a spoiler, but it will give you some Edith Finch vibes.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
In one of the narrative scenes.
So I feel like I was doing my due by like buying the game and supporting something nice and artistic, and obviously a lot of talent has worked on the game. Yeah. But like, the most important thing about a game that you die a lot in is that you want to get back in and have another crack. But when I've just like that, and I'm not like, by the way, I know I'm like a fucking brat, and everyone listening can tell I'm a drama queen. But when I die on games like that, I'm not actually like screaming and annoyed and da 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 da. I love to just go straight back into it. But this game really doesn't give me that vibe, right? And at the point where like I know Resident Evil, I'm getting it tonight or tomorrow, so I'm not fucking bothered about jumping back in it now for ages.
Yeah.
So 70 quid, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's. I think the best things about it for me, one of the it's really refreshing to play an expensive Sony game that isn't an open world game, that isn't a fucking, you know, the exact same structure as Horizon Zero Dawn and Assassin's Creed and Days Gone and all these other games, that Ghost of Tsushima, all these games. It doesn't fit, you know, it's a different thing. It's a fucking different thing, and it's good. It's good to have that level of fidelity, that level it feels expensive.
It's a bullet hell shooter.
Absolutely,
A bit of bullet hell.
It is a little bit of bullet
that's
hell.
That's what it's not a little bit of bullet hell. It's an
fucking
awful lot of bullet hell.
Big blue balls all over the place, bullet hell.
Oh, wait until you get further in. There's green balls, red balls. It's
I'd be
fantastic.
disappointed if there was less balls as I got further in. It just seems like a good kind of bit of experimental. You know, it's probably it's a huge punt to make a game like this expensive. You know, that isn't a tried and tested kind of, you know, Hades. How new is that though? Do you know what I mean? Like that's they would have seen Hades happening and gone, oh, thank God that this is actually going down really well. You know, our thing is pretty similar to this thing, and
yeah.
So I there's lots of stuff about it that I really like. I really like the story setup and the whole idea of what it is. I like the way the story comes through in audio logs that are just. That's for me the motivation that Jake is looking for so far.
Yep.
Because but it isn't the kind of the kind of what I would have in Bloodborne, where I'd be like, again, fucking get me back in. I don't feel like that. I just feel like get another cup of tea and then have another run at it. But I know there'll be story, there'll be some things happening again that are new.
I have reached that point with it now where I'm like, yes, more, give me more.
Right.
I was playing it last night, and it got to a point where it did just feel like I was like bashing my head against the brick wall.
Yeah,
it's just like endless roadblocks of just getting battered by everything.
Yeah,
and it was starting to get a bit repetitive. But then I played it this morning, and I had this one amazing run where I got all the way from the first world to the fifth world in one like 3-hour run, and everything just sort of fell in place and clicked because I started unlocking more upgrades, unlocking more weapons, and the enemy variety is a lot better now. The enemies seem a lot smarter. Right. Just everything is a lot more. It's a sweaty game when you get to the point I am. Returnal. The amount of dodging, the amount of like having to be aware of everything, like where you're aiming, where you're shooting, if there's enemies behind you, if there's enemies in front of you, where all the bullets are coming from.
Which obviously you need that warm up. You need that really hours of warm up to because if you just walked into that, you'd probably just die instantly, wouldn't you? Well, I fucking would. But it does feel a bit exhausting. Do you not think that? Like I'm as early as I'm in. Sometimes I'm like, I'll step into a room and I'll be in good shape and I'll have like my health will be upgraded. I'll have a good gun and I've got my, you know, I'll feel good about myself and then I'll just. You know, it hits sometimes in one room. You'll get like 3 or 4 waves of loads of enemies at the same time, and you kind of by the third wave, you're like, oh, for fuck's sake!
The second boss is really like a test of endurance because he's got a lot of health. His attack patterns are like they're pretty unpredictable. The amount of bullets on the screen is insane, and it's like a really you end up like leaning forward in the sofa, clutching the controller, your hands are shaking. Like if you die, you might just have a bit of a breakdown and turn into a sobbing mess of a human.
Yeah,
but
that's me.
If you do win, it's the best feeling ever. Because I had that with I think it was the 4th boss, where I had only the tiniest bit of health left, and so did he. And it came down to like whoever got hit next was gonna die. And I managed to like. Dodge his ridiculous attacks and then hit him one more time with a grenade launcher, and it was the best feeling ever. And I just want to play more now. Like, I want to play it now if I could, but
You know what though?
Imagine if Liam
Yeah,
just left
imagine
the
if he
call.
was. Yeah,
I'll turn
in the
it
glare
on
of his
right now.
glasses. Yeah. Do you know what though? I've got to say, yeah, both the PlayStation exclusives though for PlayStation are hard as fuck.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
You know, Demon Souls for like the uninitiated Souls player, hard as fuck. And this is a challenge. They are like hardcore games.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so Ratchet and Clank's going to be a nice little change of pace.
Please,
unless
God,
it's
give me
something-
Ratchet
yeah.
and Clank.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Because
don't know,
like,
Ratchet and Clank can get hard sometimes.
yeah.
Oh, well.
Imagine, because but you know, it's. I wanted to say that as well, and that's one other factor that, you know, if it's not clear enough for anyone who's on the fence, it is like a really skill based,
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
twitchy game. You know, when things start getting a bit tricky, when environments start factoring into like the battles,
Yeah.
it requires a lot of reflex time, and Mike's right. In a word, exhausting. And then like Liam's saying, when you got your whole peripheral vision to watch out for, so yeah,
it asks
it's
a lot of you.
yeah, and not just 70 quid. Like,
Oh yeah,
we're talking.
Yeah, to finish where we began. So that was a long talk on Returnal. I hope that is valuable for people who
got our
haven't
money's
played
worth,
it.
that's
and-
it, yeah.
I think like
I hope people who don't know roguelikes as well would have got something out of that, because I feel like there's a lot of specific roguelikes conversation around this game that it's difficult to appreciate until you've actually played it. And I haven't played a huge amount of roguelikes, so
I do kind of wonder if they would have had maybe more success if they did go for like the Souls formula instead of a roguelike.
well,
I'm not sure. Like,
it's difficult to I think, to be honest, I actually had this thought when I was playing it, where I think this is probably the most successful sci-fi version of a Souls game you're gonna get without From Software doing it. I know it's a different game, but this is as close as you're gonna get, where the excuse feels like a
yeah,
no, I get this. I get, the roguelike thing. I get what's happening. It's a random new room of enemies, and it just fits. And it's the closest way that you could make a shooting game. Having that bullet hell thing, it just doesn't work with the health bar, and it's not the same thing, I don't think.
It's cool how they made such a stupid idea work.
Yeah.
Respected them for that. Like, Housemarque did pull it off, I think.
it plays very similar to Vanquish, which is not even a good point of comparison because no one played that anyway.
Knee slides.
Yeah, there's a lot of dodging, a lot of dashing, just explosions happening all the time. But it is, when you get into it, it is pretty great, and I do want to play more. As I understand, I'm near the
into
end
it.
anyway.
I'm definitely into it, and I kind of feel the call, but it's not like immediate. Like Jake's saying, I don't have the immediate rush. Like I feel like I want the pain again. I don't feel like I got to jump in and I know that I'm thinking about it when I'm not playing it, and I want to get back in the world of it as much as I want to get back and try and better my progress or whatever. I just want to kind of be in it a little bit, but I think controlled fucking bursts is the way to go with me playing it. I don't think I'm going to be able to smash it all in one sitting, because I'll just smash my telly. Okay, so we've spent a long time on that. Let's just do a couple more emails before we go on to the new games, because there's a lot to talk about there. Just a quick email actually from Adam Harrop, we were talking about Call of Duty Warzone last week, where we were having difficulty getting into a game of Warzone together. We finally managed to do it over the weekend, which was good. It was good fun. But Adam says, to play Warzone, you just need to download that only. The other packs you were mentioning, because we were saying you have to download all these different packs to actually make it work. There's because Call of Duty's broken into content packs now, which is terrible. It sounds weird, but you don't even need a compatibility pack. The only packs that are useful are the 3 high-res texture packs.
Well,
but
that's not true on the PlayStation, I don't think. There's not even Warzone isn't a thing. When you click on Warzone, it brings you to the Modern Warfare page. Maybe maybe on PC it's different, or Xbox or something.
Or PS4. We're on PS5, aren't we? So
which is a mess, by the way.
So the issue I was having, I found out it was a known bug to the community. Apparently, Activision has not acknowledged this as a bug at all, and just say it doesn't exist. You're all lying, as far as I could tell from reading the forums and Reset Era and Reddit and stuff. apparently on the PS5, if you try and install it from the disc version of Modern Warfare, like I was doing, because that's the version I own, it starts like double checking for some of those DLC packs, because like if you install it from the disc, it tries installing multiplayer from Modern Warfare and everything else. But apparently the only known fix for it is to download every single pack from the installation menu and just have them all at one time, even though you don't need them, or the game thinks like it's corrupt and starts trying to reinstall bits of itself.
Right, yeah.
So I fixed that now by installing everything.
Which is terrible, and like 200 gig of stuff or something. But we also, what happens is, Adam, when we would search, so we had to search Warzone to get Warzone on the PSN store. That's the only way we could find it. And then you press Warzone, and what happens is it says, here's Call of Duty Modern Warfare, you need all these packs.
Yeah, but not all these packs. It does specifically say, great news, Warzone head. You only need 3 of these 12 packs. You need multiplayer pack 2, compatibility data pack 1, and another one, and you're golden. But then on your PlayStation,
who's not going to download
Modern Warfare?
Who's not going to download the high-res texture one as well? Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you go?
By the way, I did, because I didn't have time, and I had to play with the boys, didn't I? Little did I know, Liam's fucking data's eating itself alive, like the most valuable resource on earth.
If you check the install from the PlayStation 5 like apps and games menu, it still says none of those packs are installed, but if I boot up the game, it says they're all installed. So
I mean,
there's something
it's just
weird going on with it.
It's a mix of literally Call of Duty being a horrible mess and PlayStation being a horrible mess.
Yeah, because
it's still a bit of a mess.
I also had the same problem with Mortal Kombat 11 on PS5, where I bought the Ultimate Edition of that, which has half the DLC already on the disc, as well as the game. And then you have to download the other half of the DLC. But the game doesn't seem to know that half of the DLC is actually on the disc already, and it tells you it's not installed. But if you go into the character select screen, all the DLC characters are there. But then you have to wait for it to download the other half of the DLC, but it still tells you it's not installed. It's a whole mess of... I think it might be just the PlayStation approach to handling DLC, or whatever. I just something's bugged, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so that's thanks for that email, Adam. And we've got another one here from Dan, who says, Dear Special Moves, bit of a talking point from Dan here that we haven't really touched on in a little while. Dear Special Moves, hope you're keeping well. I recently invested in an Xbox Series S and Xbox Game Pass, which is undeniably excellent value.
Yep.
However, I'm beginning to almost regret my decision. I'm suffering from some weird phenomenon similar to that thing where you sit browsing Netflix forever, not being able to pick anything to watch. I download and play games, but I found it increasingly hard to commit to anything. I tried Gears Tactics, which I enjoyed the hell out of, but only got a third of the way through it. I can't bring myself to go back to it. I rinsed Forza Horizon 4 for a little bit, and the same thing happened there. Yakuza 6 from the off had an intriguing story that promised to be the most emotionally engaging in the series. It's a very first world problem, I know, but the games I play on PlayStation, having paid for the majority of them, I do tend to see through to the end. There must be something about the sheer volume of basically free titles on Game Pass that instill a sense of itchy fingers in me. I wonder if any of you lads have a similar experience to this. All the best, Dan. Dan also says, P.S. I recently became a patron and I've been smashing through the backlog of bonus podcasts, which has kept me sane while doing the most boring work imaginable.
Thank you very much, Dan. That's appreciated. I
think we've all had this a little bit, don't we?
Oh, yeah. I've done it where I've installed loads of games from Game Pass, proceeded to play none of them. I've reinstalled those games on Steam, played through none of them. And most recently on PS5, where I went through all my PS4 games that I haven't played, downloaded them, installing them. I think I played like 1 or 2 of them since, having the PS5 in November or whenever it came out.
Yeah.
And the rest of them I've just sat on a hard drive doing nothing.
What about you, Jake?
Well, I keep my scope small, so it makes it easy for me. I kind of know that I've got this problem, but I work around it by playing smaller games. So on the Game Pass, which has got a lot of indie titles, I kind of like laser focus on those ones, and I find like I get well more engaged in them. There's this one called Cyber Shadow, and it's like you play some like 2D like ninja. I don't know who made it. I'm just on the thing now, the Game Pass library now. It was Yacht Club. It's the people who make Shovel Knight, right? Which is great if you haven't played Shovel Knight, but it's that's good. So play little games, have a little bit of tapas time, do a bit of Donut County. Donut County is good if that's your sort of thing. Anyway, if you've got like a bit more of a stomach for indies, then you're big. But I'll tell you another bit of advice that I've kept to, and it really works. If you do like your big AAA games, Game Pass is great for playing ones that you haven't played from generation ago or so, but like must plays. Like if you're not a long time, if you've been listening for like the last like 8 or 9 months, you'll know that I discovered my love for Dead Space recently because of Game Pass, and that's a full AAA game, but just of yesteryear, and you can burn through them. Dead Space 1 and 2 together took me about 16 hours, 17 hours.
Amazing. That's when fucking games were the best.
Right,
you just you play it you start on a Friday, you finish it on a Sunday. That's how it fucking should be.
So if you want to play stuff like that, then there's like a bunch of really good games. EA's stuff, like EA are where they are. Sorry to patronize you might already know this, isn't it? But EA got where they are because they did make really fucking good games once. So have a look at Dragon Age and shit. Or my only other advice is like play an endless game and just main like that, because Game Pass is also a good source for shit like that. I think Destiny's on there with all the bells and whistles, and I think Final Fantasy 14 has something to do with Game Pass now. Elder Scrolls Online, like there's a bunch of shit you can check out if you want to play like a game forever.
Outriders, that's the new hotness for a lot of people.
Yeah, somebody tweeted us saying that they downloaded that because they listened to us talking about it recently. Just wanted to
did we recommend it?
No, which is funny because when I said we bought Returnal for everybody to know about, I was looking for this tweet a minute ago when someone was like, just downloading this, hope it's good, and I was like, do not listen.
I hope it wasn't off the back of what I said about it. I was not kind to it.
Hashtag blame Liam on Twitter.
I think that what you're experiencing there, Dan, isn't a problem. I actually fucking love that. I love the few hundred games or whatever I've got on Steam, and I download the shit out of them. When I got my PC recently, I just could not wait to just download stuff.
Him. It's like he's come to fucking Alcoholics Anonymous and you've gone, but I fucking love a vodka tonic, mate. He's asking for help.
Yeah. But and I do like Jake's analogy of you go to Pizza Hut, you don't order fucking 12, 16-inch pizzas, do you? You have a bit of salad and you have one pizza. So maybe try that approach where you just kind of pick one big game. But Gears Tactics is really good. But I think Gears Tactics is a specific case where I don't think it has a good enough hook to, unless you're into it and you love the genre and you just want to you're in the right mood for it and everything. I don't think that Gears Tactics has got that same like addictive hook that XCOM. If XCOM gets you, it fucking gets you. You don't want to do anything else. You don't want to think about anything else. XCOM is the best.
Can I Dan, if I may, Daniel, if you're listening to me, I got 2 recommendations for you, okay? Hot off the press, right? From the bottom of my heart. 1, Resident Evil 7 is on there. Yeah, it's well worth fucking go.
I am loving that at the moment.
It's short, it's sweet, and I said this before a couple of months ago, but I mean this. When you're playing horror games, there's like an urgency to everything you're doing because you're getting chased, so you don't even realize it, but you're burning through the game. You're not meandering about, right? You're just going, and you'll play games like nobody's fucking business when you're playing a good horror game. And I'd recommend Slay the Spire. Okay, sorry. It's just because I got them up, boys, innit? And I thought
two very different games. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for your emails, everyone. It's dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. Please do keep them coming in. Just keep the conversation going. And as you've just seen, it helps us put the podcast together. All right, let's do the new games for this week before we finish. Jake just mentioned it there. Resident Evil. That's the fucking big one. We've been talking about it for ages. Playing the demos. The demo's been available since Sunday or the weekend. for everyone, an hour long. Resident Evil Village is out on the 7th of May. That's the Friday on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and who can forget Google Stadia. Survival horror game. Come on, you don't need to know what it is. Resident Evil. Yes. I can't wait for this. I really, really can't wait for this. The reviews have come out today, the day of recording, so that's Wednesday. Sort of mid-80s on Metacritic.
I will have finished it at least twice by Saturday.
Yep, that's
I'm just joking.
Well,
I don't know if you.
yeah. It's the jury's out. How many times they will have completed it by the podcast, which will take place next Wednesday? But at least 3 times. I
saw a tweet from someone saying they had cleared it 9 times.
I saw that,
which is cleared. I've not heard that.
Clear
since the 90s.
Tactical, very fucking tactical. I expect nothing less.
I was thinking of like 90s, like SNES, like stage cleared. You know, that kind of. That's what I was thinking of. I mean, I've cleared Resident Evil 9 times.
Resident Evil used to do that, where when you finish the game, it used to say like game clear. It had like clear count at the bottom, like.
Do you reckon that's what it was, mate? Do you reckon it was, it was a low-key
If you beat Resident Evil
reference.
2, the original Resident Evil 2, it says clear time, how many times cleared, what rank it gives you for...
Super fan.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. 9 times.
I know the tweet you mean, because I saw it as well, and that guy is a Resident Evil super fan. Like, he's written a book about the lore and history and development.
About clearing it.
And everything.
So there's lots of tweets and lots of opinions and stuff about Resident Evil Village, and it's kind of not as unanimously kind of glowing as I was kind of hoping it would be. But I don't think none of them have been really.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, Remake 2 was the closest to like unanimous praise.
Yeah, that was really, people loved that, didn't they?
So it's a 91 that on Metacritic, but Resident Evil 7 got an 86, which is 1 point higher on Metacritic. So it's it's interesting. It's like, I mean, there's like a bunch of games reviewed higher this year. Hitman, Neo 2, It Takes Two, and top is Disco Elysium. But we've got like a good game and an 85. I think it's bound to be a bit divisive. You know, I was talking to my colleague at work today, and he is gunning for a game that's going to be the atmosphere of the old ones. He wants backtracking. So, like, if you're into that sort of thing, by the looks of this game, what you've played from the demo and the way that they keep showing this sprawling map, it seems like it's going to be more of a Resi 4 linear thing, which is going to mark people. So, like, you know, I think, like, with Resi, there's a lot of time for people to get their preferences in, and I think that might be affecting review scores too. And I don't want to sound like one of those people that's trying to, like, explain why the Cyberpunk reviews are fucking bullshit.
Yeah, you guys, you just keep your pre-orders, man. You just don't worry about it, and keep your £150 legendary editions and all that. No, but it does have the. You know, some of the, I think Eurogamer didn't even give it a recommended, which I thought was interesting. But I think so anyway. But I was kind of, I thought it would be good, but I was kind of also hoping it would be kind of it sounds weird, but different to Resident Evil 7, because I know it's first person, but I was kind of hoping it would offer something a bit more, you know, a bit of a flavour of something else. And that's one of the best things about the series, is that you can't really. All the games just feel different, don't they? Really? I mean, I think there's.
No, it's just from the reviews I saw, a lot of people who weren't as happy with it was because it was too different from Resident Evil 7. They were.
That's what I was going to say.
A bit more actiony. This one is what they were saying.
And I was kind of hoping that, you know, because in my mind, Resident Evil 4 is totally different from, you know, well, it is totally different to Resident Evil 1 and whatever, and 2 and. Well, not after the remakes, I guess, but I was hoping it would be okay. So we've done Resident Evil 7, and that's kind of contained, and you know, there are barely any enemies in it apart from the main characters and stuff, and even the ones that are the kind of mobs, they're just sort of occasional, I guess. And you know, I was hoping this would be something different, and it would have a different pace to it and whatever. And it seems like from the reviews that it is offering that. So yeah, I can't wait to get playing this weekend.
I was looking at Eurogamer didn't give a recommended. And I was thinking, what was the last recommended that they gave? It's Returnal and Pokemon Snap. And by the way, I want to apologize to everyone listening and to you two for clearly acting like a guy who has not had a second monitor in about 6 months and has now constantly got another screen on going, yes, about that. Just I want to let you know that
you've got the anime hacker glasses. Like
checking the stats. I can see that, but sorry, I'm just very excited to have a second screen.
Jake in the stat corner. We're going to call you from now on.
Jake. But Resi, expect a lot of fucking Resident Evil in next week's podcast. Well,
we talked about Returnal more than I thought we would, and I thought we would talk about that quite a lot.
Well, we bought it more than we thought we would, didn't we?
That's very, very true. There is another game coming out this week as well. Hood Outlaws and Legends is out. Oh, sorry, that's out next week. That's on the 10th, which would be the Tuesday.
Oh, but it's before our next podcast, so that's why you've...
Yeah. So it's on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X. The only reason this has really stood out to me at all, as in, why I've thought about it, is because it was one of the first games, or one of the only games, that was on the PSN store for PS5. So it's it was one of the first kind of next-gen titles. It's from Sumo, the British studio.
From Sheffield and Nottingham, innit? Which is where Robin Hood is from. So,
except this Sumo Newcastle. So,
it's probably named after a fucking caravan park or something, isn't it?
So it's published by Focus Home Interactive. So Focus Home Interactive, you'll know that brand, I suppose. So you kind of have some idea what to expect. But who knows? It could be pretty good.
It's interesting. I don't know how much money it is or whatever, but it's an online only. But it's like Scavengers. It's player versus environment. So you go into steal treasures and this and that, and you also I think so there's a couple of you, different teams of players, and you're supposed to be doing a heist, but on the same area. So I think you're racing to get the loot and then get out. But I assume that you're kind of marked for death after you've got the goods. I guess kind of like Hunt Showdown a lot more than some of the other offerings that are doing PvPvE. But they've already got all the fucking road maps out, all the the different, I'm not making this up, the different HUDs that you can pre-order in Hood Outlaw Legends.
Yep.
So that's this week.
Absolutely. I wonder, is there what is the Resident Evil thing? Is there like a village? Is there like a little village diorama that you can get?
Is that like a bullshit, big expensive...
A tall statue of a lady?
It's probably some sort of coin, isn't it?
Last time it was a replica of the Baker House for us.
That's what I mean.
Here we go. I've got it here.
So what's the equivalent? The castle, maybe?
So it's £220, which is about $280, and you get... Mate, it's called the fucking... it's called the Trauma Pack, and it contains the Samurai Edge, a DLC model. You get Resident Evil 7 found footage filter, Resident Evil 7 tape recorder in the game. You get all the Resident Evil 7 music, Go Tell Aunt Rhody and all that is in the game. But then, I know. You want to know what it is, don't you? You get a statue, a resin statue of Hench Chris Redfield. You get an art print, a steelbook, a map. I like this. This is pretty cool looking, I guess. You get a cloth map, which looks very like old European, of the village. Which is a
so
thing.
Not a diorama, but a cloth map of the village.
So
all right. Yeah. Well, like we were saying earlier, guys, I wouldn't cancel your pre-orders for the Trauma Edition or whatever it was called. Those reviews, don't trust the reviewers.
The Resident Evil 6 Collector's Edition was like £800 because it included a exact replica of Leon's leather jacket. But it was made by some fashion brand in Italy who are well known for their jackets. So it was like a proper nice jacket.
Jesus
But it was £800.
Well, that's a whole other podcast isn't it, in itself for fucking collector's editions and stuff. But thanks everyone for listening and for watching and for putting up with my kind of... I feel like I had an unusually high number of Alan Partridge moments today. I had a few fucking partridges in today, which I wasn't planning on, but they just came out. I'm sure people. I'll let you know. You can let me know what they were in the comments, maybe.
Yeah. Remember to leave your favorite Mike moment in the comments.
Your favorite partridge moment in the comments. We're doing a bonus podcast in a sec now, so if you're a supporter on Patreon, please do remember to check that out. I feel like people are getting onto it. I feel like the patrons are, the views are like people are listening to it and watching it, which is good. Because if you're supporting us on Patreon, there is more podcasts for you basically. So, looking forward to Resident Evil.
Speak to you soon, guys.
More Resident Evil chat next week, probably. A lot more. Jake and Liam disappear into the void.
Yeah. So you're scared of the void, Mike. We just embrace it.
We embrace it. This is how we can clear Resi 9 times. Right?
I'm taking this as like a morality meter. You know what I mean? Like in Knights of the Old Republic. I'm like, I've got the Paragon stat at the moment, guys. You pair of fucking Sith. See you next time.
Bye bye.